Why living alone is better for your soul than any relationship. Lesson 1. The 6-inch secret to ultimate freedom. The greatest fortune in human history lies not in gold mines or oil fields, but in the 6 inches between your ears. Within your mind exists more potential power than all the electrical generators on Earth combined. This magnificent instrument, your mind, stands ready to serve you in ways most people never dare to imagine. I've spent decades studying the differences between achievers and the average person. Do you know what separates them? Do you know what separates them? It's not intelligence, opportunity, or luck. It's how they use their minds. The achiever harnesses this 6-inch powerhouse. The average person lets it run wild. When you live alone, something remarkable happens. The constant chatter and influence of others falls away. In this sacred silence, you begin to hear your own thoughts with crystal clarity. It's like tuning a radio to remove static. Suddenly the broadcast of your own wisdom comes through. Most people fear this silence. They fill every moment with noise, conversation, and distraction. Why? Because facing your own thoughts requires courage, but in that silence lies the seed of all achievement. Consider this truth. Your thoughts today create your life tomorrow. Just as surely as a farmer's seeds determine his harvest, your mental seeds determine his harvest. Your mental seeds determine your destiny. Living alone gives you control of your mental garden. No one else is planting weeds when you're not looking. The average person uses only a tiny fraction of their mental capacity. They react to life rather than create it. They accept circumstances rather than transform them. In solitude, you develop the habit of active thinking, of consciously directing your mental energy toward your chosen aims. Your mind works exactly like the soil in a garden. It doesn't judge what seeds you plant. It simply grows whatever you put in. Plant thoughts of limitation, and you'll harvest a life of boundaries. Plant thoughts of possibility, and you'll harvest achievement beyond measure. Living alone provides the perfect environment for this mental cultivation. Each evening, I recommend a simple practice that accelerates this growth. Spend 15 minutes reviewing the thoughts you've had about yourself today. Write them down. Mark each as positive or negative. Tomorrow, consciously increase the positive thoughts by 1. This simple exercise will reveal something astonishing. Most people's mental gardens are overrun with negative weeds they didn't consciously plant. These thoughts came from parents, teachers, friends, or society. In solitude, you become the master gardener of your mind. Remember, the greatest people throughout history understood this secret. True freedom begins in the mind. External circumstances mean nothing compared to your thoughts about them. Living alone isn't about isolation. It's about liberation. Liberation from the limiting thoughts of others so you can cultivate your own powerful vision. The path to greatness begins right here, in the 6 inches between your ears. Guard this territory carefully, carefully. Cultivate it diligently. For whatever grows in this sacred soil will inevitably manifest in your life. This is the first and most essential step toward preparing yourself for greatness. Lesson 2. Becoming your own best companion. Have you ever considered that the most important relationship you'll ever have is with the person who stares back at you in the mirror each morning? This truth, though simple yet profound, has escaped the attention of millions who search endlessly outside themselves for what can only be found within. The quiet moments of solitude are not empty spaces to be filled, but rather fertile ground where self-knowledge takes root and flourishes. When you become comfortable in your own company, you discover a remarkable truth. You are complete exactly as you are. Consider this. When an airplane encounters turbulence, the flight attendant instructs you to put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Life operates by this same principle. You cannot possibly give to others what you haven't first given to yourself, whether that's respect, understanding, or love. When you live alone, you create the perfect laboratory for self-discovery. Without the constant opinions, judgments, and expectations of others coloring your perception, you begin to hear your own voice with startling clarity. The person you truly are, not who others expect you to be, emerges from behind the social masks we so often wear. Your self-talk, those thousands of words you speak silently to yourself each day, constructs the foundation of your self-image. Most people, I'm sorry to say, speak to themselves with a harshness they would never direct toward a friend. They criticize their appearance, doubt their abilities, and remember their failures while forgetting their triumphs. Is it any wonder so many walk through life with slumped shoulders and dimmed spirits? But when you live alone, you gain the precious opportunity to transform this inner dialogue. You become both speaker and listener in the most important conversation of your life. With practice and intention, you can become your own greatest advocate, cheerleader, and friend. The quality of your life flows directly from this relationship with yourself. When you trust your judgment, value your company, and honor your needs, you develop an unshakable core that no external circumstance can disturb. Think of the oak tree that stands alone in the field. Its roots grow deep and strong precisely because it must anchor itself without depending on others. So too will your character develop remarkable strength when you learn to stand firmly on your own. Tomorrow morning, I challenge you to begin the mirror conversation. Stand before your reflection for 2 full minutes and speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply respect and admire. Notice the words you choose, the tone of your voice, the feelings that arise. This simple practice, maintained daily, will gradually transform how you perceive yourself. Remember, the relationship with yourself isn't just one connection among many. It's the foundation upon which all achievement rests. Master this, and you master life itself. Neglect it, and you'll forever search outside yourself for what can only be found within. When you truly become your own best companion, you'll discover that solitude isn't emptiness. It's fullness beyond measure. Lesson 3. The Harvest Law of Achievement. I'd like to share with you one of the most powerful principles that governs all human achievement. A principle so fundamental that once you truly understand it, your life will never be the same. I call it the Harvest Law of Achievement. Picture a farmer standing in his field at planting time. He knows with absolute certainty that the seeds he places in the ground today determine what he'll harvest months later. He doesn't plant corn and expect to harvest wheat. He doesn't neglect his fields and expect a bountiful crop. The relationship between seed and harvest is exact, precise, and utterly dependable. Your mind works in exactly the same way. The thoughts you plant today become the reality you experience tomorrow. This natural law operates whether you're aware of it or not. Your current circumstances, your health, wealth, relationships, and achievements are the direct harvest of the thought seeds you've been planting in your mental garden. When you live alone, something remarkable happens. You become fully responsible for your mental planting. There's no one else to blame for negative thoughts. No one else's moods or opinions contaminate your mental soil. You stand alone in your field, seed bag in hand, with complete control over what you plant. Most people live unhappy lives because they focus on the harvest while ignoring the seeds. They complain about their circumstances while continuing to plant the same negative thoughts day after day. They wonder why opportunity doesn't knock while filling their minds with thoughts of limitation and doubt. The harvest law doesn't respond to wishes or complaints. It responds only to the seeds you plant. When you understand this, you'll stop worrying about your problems and start changing your thoughts. Living alone gives you the perfect environment to practice deliberate thought planting. Without the distraction of others, you can carefully tend your mental garden. You can pull the weeds of negative thinking. You can nurture the seedlings of possibility with focus and attention. There's a natural growing season for everything. When you plant a new thought, it doesn't instantly produce results. Many give up during this growing period, declaring that positive thinking doesn't work. But the farmer doesn't dig up his seeds every day to check on their progress. He trusts the process. Your thoughts today create your life tomorrow. If you want different results, plant different thoughts. If you want extraordinary achievement, plant thoughts of excellence and capability. The harvest always reflects the seed. In your solitude, you have the precious opportunity to become the master gardener of your mind. No relationship, no matter how wonderful, can match the power of taking full control of your thought seeds. This is the true path to greatness, not depending on others to plant your mental garden, but carefully selecting and nurturing the thoughts that will produce the life you truly desire. Lesson 4. Breaking free from the herd mentality. Have you ever watched a flock of sheep moving across a hillside? They follow one another without question, huddled together for comfort and safety. The sheep never stop to wonder if there might be greener pastures elsewhere, beyond the path their fellow sheep have chosen. I must tell you something of tremendous importance. Most people live their entire lives in precisely this manner. The majority of men and women you pass on the street each day are living lives of quiet conformity rather than conscious choice. They wake up, follow the same routines, think the same thoughts, and hold the same opinions as those around them. They never pause to ask, is this truly what I want? This herd mentality is perhaps the greatest obstacle between average existence and extraordinary achievement. When you choose to spend time alone, something magical begins to happen. The constant noise of others' expectations, opinions, and judgments gradually fades away. In that beautiful silence, you can finally hear your own voice, your authentic voice, speaking clearly for perhaps the first time. This is the voice of your highest self, the part of you that knows what you truly desire and what path you must follow. Solitude builds within you the mighty courage required to walk your unique path. You see, it takes no courage whatsoever to think and act exactly like everyone else, but to strike out in your own direction, following your inner wisdom, even when others question or criticize you. That requires a special kind of strength that can only be forged in the crucible of your own company. Your greatest ideas, those sparks of genius that can revolutionize your life, will almost never come when you're following the herd. They emerge when you dare to think independently, when you question assumptions that others blindly accept. History's greatest achievers, from Edison to Einstein, from Gandhi to Gates, were not people who marched in step with conventional thinking. They were people who stepped away from the crowd to hear their own thoughts. Consider this truth. What we call common sense is often simply common practice, not wisdom. The average person spends more time planning their weekend than planning their life. The average person complains about circumstances rather than creating new ones. The average person seeks approval before taking action. Is it any wonder that average results follow? When you free yourself from needing constant companionship, you free your mind to soar to heights the herd cannot imagine. You begin to see possibilities invisible to those whose eyes are fixed only on what others are doing. Your thoughts become your own, not pale reflections of someone else's thinking. Tonight, I challenge you to spend 1 hour in complete solitude. Turn off your telephone, your television, and all the voices of others. Sit quietly with pen and paper and ask yourself, what do I truly want that is different from what others expect of me? Write down your answers without judgment. This single hour might reveal more about your authentic path than years of following the well-worn trails of others. Remember, the herd will never lead you to your greatest life. Only your own brave heart can do that. Lesson 5. The magic of undisturbed focus. The greatest achievements in human history have come not from committee meetings or group efforts, but from the concentrated power of a single mind working in perfect focus. This is the hidden advantage of solitude that few recognize, but that can transform your life completely. When you're alone, something magical happens. The constant chatter and interruptions that fragment your concentration disappear. Your mind, like a magnifying glass focusing sunlight, can direct its full power onto a single point. And just as that focused sunlight can start a fire, your focused mind can ignite remarkable changes in your life. Consider this truth. Most people never experience the profound power of undisturbed thinking. They move from conversation to conversation, meeting to meeting, relationship to relationship, their attention constantly divided and diluted. They experience life as a series of interruptions rather than a flow of creation. But you, in your chosen solitude, have discovered a secret that the masses may never understand. 1 hour of deeply focused, undisturbed thought can accomplish more than days or even weeks of scattered effort. This is not an exaggeration, but a principle that has been demonstrated throughout history by the world's greatest achievers. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a powerful engine. When its energy is dispersed in multiple directions, worrying about a partner's needs, navigating relationship complexities, managing others' emotions, it operates at a fraction of its potential. But when all that mental horsepower drives in a single direction, the results can be extraordinary. In relationships, we often surrender our focus without realizing it. A phone rings, a question needs answering, a problem demands solving. And just like that, our train of thought derails. These may seem like small interruptions, but they prevent us from reaching the deeper levels of thought, where true creativity and innovation reside. The quality of your concentration determines the quality of your life. This isn't merely a catchy phrase, but a fundamental truth. Those who master undisturbed focus master their destiny. When you sit alone with a single goal, challenge, or opportunity in mind, allowing yourself to think deeply without interruption, you'll find solutions and ideas that would never emerge in fragmented thinking. Your mind begins making connections, seeing patterns, and creating insights that simply cannot form when your attention is divided. This is why many of history's greatest thinkers insisted on periods of solitude. They understood that breakthrough ideas rarely come from casual thought, but emerge from deep, sustained concentration. Today, claim this power for yourself. Set aside 1 hour of complete solitude. Turn off all devices. Find a quiet space where no one will interrupt you. Choose your most important goal or challenge and think about it deeply. Write down every insight that comes to you. Don't rush this process. Let your mind work at its natural pace, diving deeper with each passing minute. What you'll discover in this single hour might astonish you. Problems that seemed unsolvable suddenly reveal their answers. Opportunities previously invisible become clear. This is the magic of undisturbed focus, a power that's always been yours, but perhaps has remained dormant while your attention was divided by relationships and their constant demands. Lesson 6. Building your idea factory. Your mind is the most magnificent idea factory ever created, and when you live alone, you become both the factory owner and its most valuable worker. The quiet solitude of your own company creates the perfect environment for ideas to spark, grow, and transform into reality. Think about this for a moment. Every invention, every business, every fortune ever created began with a simple idea in someone's mind. The telephone, the airplane, the computer, all started as tiny seeds of thought in the fertile soil of a human mind. And do you know when most of these world-changing ideas appeared? In moments of solitude. When you're alone, your mind isn't cluttered with the constant demands and distractions of relationships. Your thinking becomes clearer, deeper, more focused. Ideas begin to flow like water from a mountain spring, pure, refreshing, and natural. One powerful idea can completely transform your life. Just one. A new business concept, a solution to a common problem, a creative approach no one has tried before. These can become your pathway to achievement far beyond what most people ever experience, but these million-dollar ideas rarely appear when your attention is divided among the needs and expectations of others. Living alone gives you the priceless gift of mental space. Your thoughts aren't interrupted midstream by someone else's concerns or conversations. You can follow a single train of thought to its conclusion, exploring every possibility, every angle. This uninterrupted thinking is where the magic happens. Your idea factory works on a simple principle. The more ideas you actively seek, the more you'll find. Ideas multiply when you go looking for them. They hide in plain sight, waiting for you to notice them. And when you live alone, you develop the habit of noticing what others miss. Start treating your mind like the powerful idea factory it truly is. Give it the proper fuel through books, observations, and experiences. Keep it running smoothly through rest and reflection. And most importantly, expect it to produce valuable ideas every single day. When you wake up tomorrow morning, ask yourself, what problem needs solving? Then let your mind work on it throughout the day. As you drive, as you walk, as you prepare dinner alone in your quiet kitchen, your idea factory will be humming along, connecting concepts in new ways. Write down every idea that comes to you, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. These notes become the raw materials for bigger breakthroughs. Thomas Edison's light bulb wasn't his first idea. It came after thousands of others, both good and bad. The person who generates ideas holds the future in their hands, and the person who lives alone has the perfect workshop to create them. Your solitude isn't empty space. It's filled with potential, with creativity, with solutions waiting to be discovered. Your idea factory never closes. It operates day and night, especially when you're alone with your thoughts. This is your competitive advantage, your secret weapon in the quest for achievement. While others depend on outside sources for direction, you're building an endless supply of original ideas. This self-sufficiency is the foundation of true freedom. Lesson 7. The Self-Reliance Revolution. The truth about security has been misunderstood by countless millions of people throughout history. They've looked outside themselves, to relationships, institutions, governments, seeking the comfort of knowing someone else would catch them if they fell. But I'm about to share with you what the great achievers throughout history have always known. True security comes only from within. When you live alone, something remarkable happens. You discover resources within yourself that you never knew existed. Like a muscle that strengthens only when challenged, your self-reliance grows powerful when you remove the crutches of dependency. Think about this carefully. Every relationship contains an element of compromise. When we rely on others, we silently surrender portions of our own capability. The person who prepares their own meals develops skills the restaurant patron never will. The individual who solves their own problems builds mental strength the dependent person never discovers. I've observed this phenomenon for decades. The most successful men and women I've encountered share this common trait. They've developed an unshakable faith in their ability to handle whatever life presents. This isn't arrogance. It's the natural outcome of facing life's challenges directly rather than delegating them to someone else. Consider how nature teaches this lesson. The eagle pushed from the nest doesn't fall to its death. It discovers it can fly. The seedling breaking through concrete doesn't wither without support. It grows stronger than those planted in easy soil. Your soul craves this kind of strength. It's written into the very blueprint of your being. When you prepare your own meals, manage your own finances, make your own decisions, and face your own silence, something magnificent happens. You become whole in a way that perpetually dependent people never experience. You discover that the greatest security doesn't come from having someone else to lean on, but from knowing with absolute certainty that you can handle life on your own terms. I remember speaking with a successful businessman who had lived alone for 20 years. Earl, he told me, the day I realized I needed nothing from anyone else was the day I became truly free. He didn't mean he had no friends or connections. He simply understood that his happiness and success depended on his own thoughts and actions, not on others. Begin today to develop this revolutionary self-reliance. When a problem arises, resist the urge to immediately seek help. Sit with it. Think about it. Apply your own wisdom and resources first. You'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. The person who can stand firmly on their own 2 feet possesses a foundation for greatness that the dependent soul never will. Your aloneness isn't something to be fixed. It's the perfect workshop where you craft your strongest self. Remember this powerful truth. The oak tree standing alone on the hill grows stronger than those huddled together in the forest. In your solitude, you are preparing for greatness in ways the constantly accompanied person never will. Lesson 8. The Magnificent Silence of Solitude. Have you ever noticed how the greatest ideas come to you in moments of silence? Not in the rush-hour traffic of social gatherings or the noise of constant companionship, but in those golden moments when you're completely alone with your thoughts? This is no accident. It is in the magnificent silence of solitude that your true self emerges, like a butterfly from its chrysalis, ready to soar to heights you never imagined possible. The average person today is afraid of silence. They fill every moment with noise, television, radio, endless conversations, the constant ping of messages. They run from the very thing that would set them free, the powerful, transformative quality of silence. When you choose to live alone, you're not choosing isolation. You're choosing liberation. You're choosing liberation. You're creating a sacred space where your mind can expand, where your spirit can grow, where your dreams can take shape without the constant interruptions of other people's needs, opinions, or demands. Think of your mind as a clear mountain lake. When disturbed, the water becomes cloudy, and you cannot see to its depths. But when allowed to be still, it becomes crystal clear, revealing treasures below that you never knew existed. This is what happens in solitude. The waters of your mind clear, and suddenly you can access wisdom that was always there, waiting to be discovered. The most successful men and women throughout history understood this principle. They carved out periods of deliberate solitude. Edison, Einstein, Gandhi all cherished their time alone, not as a burden but as a precious gift, a time when their greatest insights arrived. Living alone allows you to hear the whispers of your intuition that are drowned out in the noise of constant companionship. That small voice inside you is trying to guide you toward your destiny, but it will never shout. It only speaks in the silence, and only to those wise enough to listen. I'm reminded of the story of a young executive who complained to his mentor about never having time to think. The mentor handed him a rock and said, "Place this on your desk. Whenever you see it, stop everything and think deeply for 5 minutes." Within a year, this simple practice revolutionized his business and his life. You see, solitude is not the absence of something. It is the presence of your truest self. In relationships, we often become a reflection of others' expectations. Alone, we can finally see our own face. Try this experiment. Spend 1 hour in complete silence each day for 1 week. No music, no television, no conversation, just you and your thoughts. After the initial discomfort passes, you'll find a clarity and peace that no external relationship could ever provide. The magnificent silence of solitude isn't empty. It's full of possibilities, insights, and the sweet music of your own authentic thoughts. Embrace it, and you'll discover that living alone isn't a waiting room for life to begin. It's where your greatest life is being carefully, beautifully crafted. Lesson 9. The magnificent power of solitary decision-making. Let me tell you something that most people will never understand in their entire lives. The ability to make decisions, clean, clear, powerful decisions, is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. And here's the remarkable truth. This skill flourishes most beautifully in solitude. When you live alone, you create a sanctuary where decisions are made without the fog of other people's opinions, fears, or limitations. Think about it. Most people wandering through life today are not making their own decisions at all. They're making compromises. They're seeking consensus. They're looking for approval. They've surrendered the magnificent power of pure decision, making without even realizing what they've lost. The average person makes decisions the way a committee designs a horse and ends up with a camel. They collect input from everyone around them, weighing each opinion, trying to please everyone, and ultimately creating a patchwork decision that fully satisfies no one, especially not themselves. But when you embrace solitude, something extraordinary happens. Your decisions become razor sharp, crystal clear, uncompromised. You begin to hear the voice of your own wisdom without the constant static of others' expectations. This is where true power resides. Consider the great achievers throughout history. In their moments of most important decision-making, they stepped away from the crowd. They created space for their own thinking to emerge. Edison, Einstein, Gandhi. They understood that breakthrough decisions rarely come from consensus. The ability to sit alone with your thoughts, to weigh options against your own values rather than external opinions, builds a decision-making muscle that grows stronger with each use. When you live alone, you exercise this muscle daily, even in small matters. What to eat, when to sleep, how to arrange your environment. These seemingly minor choices become training ground for the life, altering decisions that eventually come your way. Most people fear making wrong decisions, but living alone teaches you something profound. There are very few truly wrong decisions. There are only decisions and what you choose to do after making them. When you live alone, you learn to trust your ability to navigate whatever outcomes arise from your choices. This builds a quiet confidence that radiates through every aspect of your life. Have you noticed how many people constantly seek permission before making moves in their own lives? What do you think I should do? Becomes their constant refrain. They've never discovered the exhilaration of clean, uninfluenced decision making. They don't know what they're missing. Remember this: every great achievement began as a decision in someone's mind. Your capacity to make clear, powerful decisions, uncluttered by the need to accommodate others, may be the most valuable asset you're developing through your solitary lifestyle. Don't underestimate its worth. In a world of wavering, compromised choices, the person who can make clean decisions possesses a rare and mighty power, and that power grows strongest in solitude. Lesson 10. The unlimited power of self-mastery. The greatest battlefield we will ever know exists within ourselves. It is there that our thoughts wage war with our potential. It is there that we either rise to greatness or settle for mediocrity, and it is there that the true advantage of solitude reveals itself most powerfully. Self-mastery, quite simply, is the ability to direct your thoughts, control your emotions, and guide your actions in perfect harmony with your highest ideals. It is the conductor that orchestrates the symphony of your life, and like any masterful performance, it requires practice in isolation before it can shine before an audience. When you live alone, you remove the constant distractions that relationships inevitably bring. You eliminate the compromises that dilute your discipline. You forge yourself in the furnace of your own making, tempering your will to precisely the strength you determine necessary. Consider the champion boxer who trains in solitude, perfecting each movement until it becomes second nature. He does not learn his craft in the ring during the fight. He merely demonstrates there what he has already mastered alone. So, too, must you master yourself away from the arenas where you will ultimately perform. The average person believes self-control is a matter of willpower alone, a misconception that leads to inevitable failure. True self-mastery comes not from forcing yourself to comply with external standards, but from aligning your deepest desires with your conscious choices. When you live alone, you create the perfect laboratory to conduct this internal alignment. Each morning when you rise, you answer to no one but yourself. Each decision you make flows from your values alone. Each habit you form bears your singular signature. This creates an unparalleled opportunity to engineer precisely the life you wish to lead without the 1,000 tiny compromises that relationships demand. Take, for example, the practice of early rising. When you live alone, you set your alarm for 5:0 a.m. because you have determined this serves your highest good. No partner's schedule conflicts with yours. No one else is late. Night habits disrupt your rhythm. You simply decide, act, and master. The same principle applies to your nutrition, your exercise, your financial discipline, and every other domain where mastery matters. You become the architect, engineer, and builder of your own character, with no committee meetings required. This self-mastery extends beyond mere habits to your very thought patterns. Living alone allows you to catch negative thoughts the moment they arise, without external triggers constantly resetting your emotional state. You learn to observe your mental patterns with detachment. You notice when fear appears, when doubt creeps in, when anger flares, and you guide these responses toward more productive channels. Remember this fundamental truth: no relationship with another person will ever compensate for a poor relationship with yourself. Master yourself, first in the quiet laboratory of solitude, and you will approach any future relationship from a position of wholeness rather than need. The person who has achieved self-mastery carries an unmistakable aura of quiet confidence. They require no external validation, seek no approval, and fear no approval, and fear no rejection. They have faced themselves in the mirror of solitude and emerged victorious. This is the unlimited power that awaits you when you embrace the journey of living alone. Lesson 11. The Sanctuary of Solitude. The average person doesn't understand the power of solitude. They fear it, run from it, fill every moment with noise and distraction. But you are not average. You're reading these words because something inside you knows a profound truth. The greatest achievements in human history were born in moments of magnificent solitude. Think about this for a moment. Einstein didn't discover relativity at a dinner party. Edison didn't perfect the light bulb while hosting guests. Beethoven didn't compose his symphonies in crowded rooms. No, these giants of human achievement retreated to the sanctuary of solitude, where their minds could expand without limitation. The sanctuary of solitude is where your greatest self waits to emerge. It's not a physical place, though a quiet room certainly helps. It's a mental state where you've closed the door on outside opinions, expectations, and judgments. It's where you hear the still, small voice of your authentic self. In relationships, we often build walls to protect ourselves while constructing bridges to please others. This constant architectural project exhausts the spirit. But in solitude, you can simply be. No walls needed when there's nothing to defend against. No bridges required when there's no one to impress. Consider the mighty oak tree. It doesn't grow strong by leaning on other trees. It stands alone, roots deep, facing sun and storm by itself. This is how it develops its strength. This is how you will develop yours. The sanctuary of solitude offers gifts you'll find nowhere else. First, it gives you perspective, the ability to see your life from above, not just from within. Second, it provides clarity. When other voices fade, the truth becomes unmistakable. Third, it delivers creativity. Ideas flow when they're not competing with conversation. Many will tell you that humans are social creatures who need constant connection. There's some truth there, but it's not the complete picture. We are also contemplative beings who need regular retreat. The pendulum must swing both ways for a balanced life, but our society has swung dramatically toward constant connection, leaving the riches of solitude largely unclaimed. You've likely experienced moments when an answer suddenly appeared during a quiet walk or shower. That wasn't coincidence. Your mind was finally given the space to work as designed. Imagine the breakthroughs waiting if you created this space intentionally, regularly. The sanctuary of solitude isn't about loneliness or isolation. It's about intentional, productive time with your greatest ally, your own mind. It's where you process experiences, integrate lessons, and chart your course forward. Without this sanctuary, you live reactively, constantly responding to others instead of creating your life deliberately. Tomorrow morning, rise before others. Sit quietly with your thoughts for 30 minutes. Don't read, don't plan, just be present with yourself. Notice how different your day unfolds when it begins from this sanctuary. This simple practice has launched more successful lives than any relationship ever could. Your greatness awaits in the sanctuary of solitude. Enter it willingly, regularly, and watch as your soul expands to its true magnificent proportions. Lesson 12. The Grand Journey Home to Self. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the greatest journey you will ever take isn't across oceans or continents. It's the journey back to yourself. This final chapter represents not an ending, but a beginning. You stand at the threshold of the grandest adventure life offers, complete self-realization. I've observed throughout my years that most people live their entire lives running away from themselves. They fill every moment with noise, activity, and other people because they fear what they might discover in the silence. They form relationship after relationship, hoping someone else will provide what they lack within. But those who achieve true greatness understand a fundamental truth. Everything you've ever searched for exists within you right now. Living alone isn't about isolation or rejection of others. It's about creating the sacred space needed to hear your own inner voice, that quiet whisper of wisdom that gets drowned out in the chaos of constant companionship. When you choose solitude with purpose, you're not choosing to be lonely. You're choosing to be complete. Consider the mighty oak tree. It doesn't desperately reach for other trees or panic about standing alone. It simply extends its roots deep into the soil, draws nourishment from the earth, and grows toward the light. In its magnificent solitude, it becomes strong enough to withstand storms that would uproot lesser trees. You are that oak. The greatest inventors, artists, and thinkers throughout history all understood the power of purposeful solitude. Edison, Einstein, Thoreau. These were people who recognized that breakthrough ideas rarely come in the middle of a dinner party. They come in those still moments when the mind is free to wander unfettered by the opinions and expectations of others. Remember this truth: you entered this world alone, and you will leave it alone. The time between those 2 points is your opportunity to discover who you truly are beneath the roles you play and the masks you wear. When you embrace living alone as a pathway to self-mastery rather than a punishment, everything changes. Your home becomes a sanctuary rather than an empty space. Your thoughts become trusted companions rather than feared enemies. The silence becomes a canvas for creation rather than a void to be filled. And most importantly, you develop the unshakable inner strength that allows you to connect with others from a place of wholeness rather than need. As we conclude our journey together, I leave you with this thought: the person you've been seeking in every relationship, in every crowded room, in every external achievement, that person has been within you all along, waiting patiently for you to turn your attention inward. There, in the quiet center of your being, lies all the love, wisdom, and fulfillment you could ever desire. Your greatest relationship will always be the one you have with yourself. Nurture it, honor it, and watch as your life transforms from ordinary to extraordinary through the simple yet profound act of coming home to who you truly are